This is a bit my path, my academic path. I was educated as an electrical engineer, then I switched, like many of us, to the field of biomedical and neuroscience. The motivation of the talks start with the common, because today all the neurological diseases and disorders are very common. Neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's, essential tremor, and dementia become very common, partially because of the increase in life expectancy. I assume like when the life expectancy was 50 years old, these neurodegenerative diseases were not very common. And today neurological disorders like ADHD and autism also increase with technology and reduced activity, and are also some other social phenomena in our society. I refer a bit, I speak more about general analysis of neurological diseases and disorders. I will focus, I will give more as examples in the field of Parkinson, where I did some research, but it is not, you can do extrapolation to other diseases. Parkinson, we all mostly know it because usually of the tremor, but it is dysfunction of some brain areas, for instance, like areas that control your movement. So sometimes if one with Parkinson's disease wants to climb a step, sometimes he cannot because there is like in his brain, sometimes his control do not give him the reward that he can make a step to climb. There is a famous story about one that tried to go to his wedding, to the wedding of his daughter, and he tried just to climb the step to go to the chuppah, and he couldn't do it because he was so nervous, and his control mechanism, reward mechanism, didn't function. So he was freezing. So freezing of gait is another phenomena. And there's some other like, I'm now a bit involved in research that just try to look on people's face and to detect the severity of the Parkinson only by looking on the facial expression. Today, like was said before, the gold standard, this is what I was asking actually Ziv before. The common standard, it is called UPDRS. It's composed of many tests. And it is the gold standard, but if you ask me, it is not necessarily accurate. But all the training of machine learning models try to assess something that is not necessarily accurate, but still it is kind of a way that you can judge like AI systems if they can correlate well to the score. Maybe Avi will speak about how you can make new scores that are more related to function in the daily life. Okay, so this course suffer from rater bias, from sometimes I just did a review about analyzing MRI pictures, MRI images, and it appears to be that AI can be as good as like like more than the average radiologist, but the most expert radiologists are still better than the AI. but this is interesting. Current diagnostics is still at clinic. Like the state of the art is like a physical test, but like in the past 10, 15 years, in every gate lab, there are some in Ichilov, in Tel Shomer, in many facilities. We try to do more objective assessment of all the phenomena to characterize the disease. And various mechanisms. One of them is like EEG, like was said, and there are like a lot of pressure sensors, acceleration sensors, gyroscope, etc. All these sensor raw data are used today in the lab to extract features, like usually it is features from that physicians like or think they are informative, or like irregular gait. So you need to measure how much irregular is the gait, or if the steps are shorter, then it is indication for the severity of the disease, etc. And sometimes you can look like on the amplitude and the amplitude and the frequency of the tremor, and you can also use them. And then actually you can then all this data is given to the medical physician, medical staff, and then he tries to embed them and then to produce like a result. Now today AI became like more integrated with the physician. So together with the traditional physician examination, physical examination, now we can say that we can use also knowledge domain features. They are directed them directly to the medical staff, and he can use them to embed them to his decision. And then you can also use like medical decision support, like Ziv was referring to. Sorry. And what is now interesting that now you need to know how to treat the score that being given by the medical decision support. This is something that is very challenging. We will speak about it in this talk. And in addition, like to the knowledge domain features, there is also like the data-driven features. Sometimes we say that maybe the physicians, even though they are based on knowledge of many centuries, maybe thousands of years, that can be embedded to a medical decision. But sometimes the data can direct us and can lead us to, can improve the medical decision support. And now we can ask, where is the human in the loop? So first, like we said before, all the medical knowledge is incorporated into the feature extraction, like the expert knowledge physical extraction. But in addition, we need to know that actually most of the artificial neural networks are trying to imitate. They're trying to imitate by actually the medical doctor, which is like I asked Ziv before, it is a bit problematic. We try to imitate someone who is not perfect. So then it can produce bias. So I do think that the solution for this is mostly to imitate what can contribute to well-being. So what is most important is how you function in your daily life activities, and this is what you need to carry out, not necessarily the medical scores of the physicians. And again, like I told you before, there the physician needs to know how to balance the medical decision of the AI and his intuition. So you need to build up a relationship with the machine. You need to know when you can count on the machine to produce good results and when you cannot count. So working in AI utility is as if you're working with a stagiaire, and you need to know when you can count on the stagiaire to perform an action and when you cannot rely. So this is very important, and all these are very, very common today in the medical world. Like I said, I mentioned a bit before, there is going to the clinic, there is a lot of medical time cost, travel time, Reuters bias, not sufficient statistic, laboratory cost, and there is a need to unbiased, objective, affordable, continuous. So, like I just said, we need to make the home environment, the well-being, as the real standard of treatment and scoring. So this is just like a scheme. You have like at home, like all the sensing facilities. You send them continuously, all the relevant data to healthcare, home medical assistant, to healthcare utility. And then if needed, if there is alert situation, you can get an ambulance, or you can do adaptation of drug dose and drug rates. Still, like there is a problem even at home with that we still need to do a behavioral capture. And what is interesting that if we just look on people behavior, we can get so much information from the natural life living. Because everybody executes an action which changes internal state in the brain, and then when there is a change in internal state in the brain, then you can initiate again execution. This is like a loop you're closing when you interact with the real world. This is like the basics of reinforcement learning. And all of it is based like on the way that people project their internal state to behavior. And this behavior can be used to produce like biomarkers for neurological based diagnostics. And these neurological based, these biomarkers will be much more reflecting the real life scenarios, or if you have this function like in certain activity, then all of this will be part of your medical diagnostics. You can use many sensors at home. There is like Ziv mentioned, you can use your cell phone. Today you can use also body sensors. By the way, it is very interesting how the body sensors get their energy. They can get the energy sometimes from your blood temperature, and sometimes you need to charge them. And then there is like a video, radar, and sonar systems. Radar, by the way, has a really interesting phenomenon that it can go through the walls, and it is really advantage compared to video. This is like some research I did like in activity acquisition in the past few years, and I was working with accelerometers, sonar, radar, video, and currently I'm using mostly video and accelerometers to assess like neurological behavior and diagnostics. And these are just some research I did in the past. We don't have enough time. But by the way, some of this research, we like 12 or 13 years ago, we gave, when I did my PhD in Hebrew University, we gave it to the patent office. And the patent tried to see if he wants to write a patent. They said, no, nobody's interested in using radar for monitoring activity recognition. Then I was in Tel Aviv University, same with sonar, nobody was interested. But 2, 3, 4 years after, it became like very, very popular in the field. Now I read like 10, 20 papers. So sometimes the patent office in universities do not have the forecast for the future. Okay, this is like some research I did. Now I want to finalize my talk like with the context driven. In order to compare apples to apples and oranges to orange, you need sometimes when you do analysis, AI analysis of behavior, you need to compare the same action. And so you need to know what is the context, what is your behavior. So usually when you have AI utility, you start with activity classifier. You need to know if you are sleeping, walking, eating. Only then you can go to the next step to characterize the specific features or specific behavior related to this activity. The problem, there is a lot of a lot of data, massive data, and sometimes if you do the wrong classification of an action, then you can actually, by mistake, like go to local minima and not to global minima, and then all your classification might suffer from inaccuracies. This is why this can be emphasized if you look on the medical diagnosis accuracy. If you train your classifier based on non-activity classes, you see when the context level quality is very, very high, then you see that everything is perfect. You can get the maximal. But if the context level is low and you know that it is even, you make a lot of mistakes in your activity classification, you think you analyze when people walking while they are brushing their teeth, then you might go to the wrong diagnostics or decisions. This is why sometimes this is a big challenge today to try to do classification without context knowledge. And for this, you need actually to produce activity invariant features. So this is very important. For example, just look on blinking. Sometimes we can blink. We can blink while we are walking. We can blink while we are sleeping. And for every activity, the blinking rate can be measured for medical diagnostics. But sometimes we can look on a continuous measure of blinking, and it can also be used for continuous diagnostics of the whole disease, not just of the action. So I will finish in 1 minute. Everybody here finish on time, so I want to be the first one that finish not in time. No, I'm kidding. I will finish in 1 minute delay. So like I said before, context can produce like better classifier or recognition, but we don't have it always. So this is the new paradigm that we developed in HIT, that it is actually bio-inspired. It is bio-inspired because you want to give the sensors a bit wisdom. You want to say that to the sensors that the sensors themselves will give indication what activity they are doing. And okay, like when we act in like peripheral nerve. If so, this is like another work. So if so, like this is like the maid lab and the living lab where Thomas is a member, and together with Sharon Hassin from Tailor Shomer, we developed like a new model of using tools, and these tools are capable of giving you the exact context, the exact without all the ambiguity. So then you know exactly when you are doing the action, what action you're doing, and then you exactly can compare. This is very good for neurologists. This is why Sharon Hassin initiated, like she gave us the need, like, okay, HIT, we get need from the clinicians, and then we work on development. So then when you don't have like any false activity detection, then you can really track, and then you can see when you're drinking, you know that you're drinking and not brushing your teeth, and then you can analyze directly. I will not summarize because I don't have time, but this is my lab. This is some of the collaborations I have. Thank you very much, and if you know about students or postdocs that are interested like in assessment of neurological disorders, in daily life conditions using daily life accessories, you're more than welcome, and that's all.